Hey everyone, how are we doing today? Today we're going to be going over the backstitch. The backstitch is a nice permanent stitch that we use that would give us a nice straight neat line. We would use this for seams or embroidery. This is a type of stitch that we can use in place of a sewing machine. This stitch is very permanent, it's strong, it's durable, and it has a nice neat overall look. So to get started for today, we're going to be needing our sewing scissors, some thread, a needle, and of course, our fabric. So some things that we're going to be going over today is, of course, how to thread our needle. We're going to learn how to start this stitch, along with how to make stitches. We're going to be focusing in on how to bring the needle up through our fabric, how we should be moving forward while we work, where we should be placing our needle back down, how we should be bringing the needle back up, and of course, how to finish our work off. So before we get started, I just want to go over how to thread our needle one more time. So here I have my needle with the eye of the needle facing me. I'm just going to go ahead, insert my thread right through the eye of the needle, and pull that until we're even. From here, I hold both pieces of thread in one finger. I wrap it around loosely 2 times, and roll that right off. It twists, I hold that and pull, and then that gives us our knot. So now that we have our needle threaded, we can go ahead and get started with our backstitch. So to get started for today, we're going to start off with our threaded needle, our sewing scissors, and our piece of fabric. So just like every other stitch we've done so far, we're going to start off with inserting our needle from the back and pulling it forward. We like to do this way our knots are hidden in the back of our work and not in the front. So just like the running stitch, we're going to start off with going over a stitch length, going through the front to the back, and pulling that through. This gives us our first stitch. From here, just like the running stitch, we're going to move forward a stitch length, from the back to the front. Now this is where it gets a little different. So with our running stitch, our next stitch would go forward a stitch length. For the back stitch, instead of going forward, we're going to go backwards and insert our needle into the last hole of our most recent stitch. Just like this. When we do this, our stitches end up being right next to each other, giving us a nice, close, tight stitch. So again, I'm going to go over 1 stitch length from the back, pull that up, and then instead of going forward, I'm going to simply go backwards into the hole of the last hole of my most recent stitch. Got that nice and close for you all. So I go over 1, pull that up, and then backwards into that most recent hole. And that is our back stitch. We go back, we go forward and backwards. And that gives us a nice straight line. When we do these stitches, we want to make sure that the stitches we are making are nice and small. So if you see for reference, I have a gap here. That gap is about half of the size of my pinky. I would never want to make my stitches any bigger than this. So if you're not sure if your stitch is going to be big enough, you can always just put your pinky down and measure out how big that your stitches are. So we're going to go back into the last hole of our most previous stitch and pull that through. Another trick or another tip, once you pull that needle through, we always want to see, if you look close, you can see that there's that little hole from where our last stitch came out. This is the exact hole that you're going to want to put your needle right back into. By doing this, you're minimizing the amount of holes that you're putting into your work, and it really, once it's all flattened out, you can see how neat that looks. So once we're done with our running stitch, back stitch, we can go ahead, flip our work over, and we can see that it's similar, but it looks a little different from the front side. So we're gonna go ahead and make our finishing knot. So remember, I like to hold the thread in my left hand, the needle in my right. I slide the needle underneath a stitch. I pull it up, still holding this loop. I wrap my needle around 1 time and 2 times. Pull that, I let go of the thread, support my fabric, and pull slowly. And that creates a knot. So I can go ahead, cut that, and now I'm left with a nice straight back stitch. Now that we're done with our back stitch, I want to give you guys a second to take a look at what it looks like from the front, our finished stitch, and along with what it looks like in the back. So you can see here I have my starting knot, and my finishing knot is right over there. This is from the back, and this is what my stitch would look like from the front. All right, well, that's our back stitch. I hope you guys all had fun. I hope you all learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.